Hey, what's up guys, my name is Charlie. Today we're going to be doing some more requested reaction videos, and this video is requested by John David Hemby. Why do I feel like I'm about to say Harambe? Dicks out for Harambe, guys. But yeah, it's going to be Sonic the Hedgehog from 1991, Birth of a Laughingstock by Scott the Woz. Oof, that rolled right off the tongue, doesn't it? Yeah, more Scott the Woz, and it's going to be Sonic the Hedgehog from 1991. Yeah, am I thinking of, Sonic the Hedgehog Sega Genesis? I can't believe I nearly forgot about the Sega Genesis. But yeah, I remember playing Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Genesis. It was an awesome game, totally fun. It was really a game seller for the Sega Genesis. It really defined the Sega Genesis. Am I gonna stop saying Sega Genesis? But yeah, let's see what the video has to offer, shall we? Let's go.
Scott here. Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega Genesis. One of the most iconic video games of all time, no doubt, but many have considered it to have aged poorly. Now, in terms of my opinion of it, just a
Bit of a
warning, I
tweaking
grew up with the
HD
game, so
remaster
I'm
edition would do pretty good.
biased.
Before there were septum piercings, playing Sonic the Hedgehog was the only way to lash out at your parents. You have to take their word for it that he's a hedgehog. Like, if you saw this thing crawling towards you on the street, I doubt the first thing you shout is, "Someone get this hedgehog away from me!" His attitude-riddled, fast-paced nature was the perfect combatant to
Chili hot
Nintendo's
dogs.
Mario. That's actually the entirety of the reason behind Sonic's conception. Sega wasn't lighting the world on fire with their Master System and their then mascot Alex Kidd. They needed something bolder, something newer. A company-wide character design contest was held to find the perfect new face for Sega. A few designs were thrown around, such as a rabbit and a Teddy Roosevelt looking guy who eventually became the series' antagonist. It was finally settled on a hedgehog designed by Naoto Oshima. Due to the gameplay concept of the main character rolling into a ball to gain speed from programmer Yuji Naka, the hedgehog design was chosen, with many other design aspects coming from other inspirations. Shoes from Michael Jackson and Santa Claus, an attitude like Bill Clinton's, his color coming from the Sega logo. This character was shaping up to become the mascot Sega always dreamed of. The original name was Mr. Needlemouse, but then they thought, wow, we actually want to sell this game, and decided upon Sonic. A few ideas were scrapped before release, such as a real-life human girlfriend for Sonic, and having him be a part of a rock band. Also, the design of Sonic himself was altered a bit to be more appealing to American audiences. Just look at the Japanese and American designs. They're similar, but have a few differences here and there. After releasing on June 23rd, 1991, Sega decided to get even more aggressive, as they knew what they had was definitely more than enough to combat Nintendo. The Genesis received a price drop and got Sonic the Hedgehog bundled in, and that's when everything really started to heat up. Sonic was already doing well before being bundled with the system, but afterwards, it was almost impossible to own a Genesis without Sonic.
Yeah.
The speed and attitude of the game fit right in with the 90s, and Sonic the Hedgehog became one of the most iconic video games and characters of all time. This was the first game that I ever truly owned. My cousin gave me his hand-me-down Sega Genesis Model 2 with a copy of Sonic. Here's the Model 1, which is the only one I have nowadays, and plus I think the design is way cooler. High-definition graphics, yeah, keep telling yourself that.
Yeah,
And now a bit of history between me and the entirety of the Sonic franchise. I really like Sonic 1, but I could never get past Marble Zone. I still played the game a lot, but never got far. I ended up getting 2 more Genesis games, Ms. Pac-Man and Sonic 2. Same thing with Sonic 1, couldn't get past Chemical Plant. I know sex with me has definitely decreased in value after that little tidbit. Once I got a GameCube, I got the Sonic Mega Collection, which I loved. I adore little bonus features and extras, and Mega Collection had loads of these, in addition to the 2 games I played a lot, and others like Sonic 3, Sonic & Knuckles, Spinball, Mean Bean Machine, and even 3D Blast. I oddly have a lot of nostalgia for 3D Blast, and I have trouble sleeping to this very day because of it. And that was it in terms of Sonic for me. Never played 3D games during this era. I haven't played Adventure, or at least enough of it. I played like 5 minutes of it and didn't really like it. I haven't played Adventure 2, I haven't played Heroes, I haven't played... Ha! I saw loads of trailers for Sonic Unleashed before it came out, and I thought it looked amazing. I got it for
Sonic
Christmas
06 for the
2008,
Xbox
and
360.
it was okay. I don't think it deserves all the hate it gets, but I think it was just okay. I thought Sonic Colors was alright too. I just haven't played a ton of it and thought there were too many 2D sections for my liking. I like 2D Sonic, but modern Sonic in 2D isn't the most fun to control. I like modern Sonic way more in 3D. But man, Generations was great. Not just based on nostalgia, not just because it brings back old levels, but because the game is fun. Classic Sonic's fun, modern Sonic's fun. It's not perfect, but I thought it was a really good game. I haven't played Lost World or Mania just came out, and oh my, oh me, it's a good game. I recently beat Sonic CD, and I must say it's the epitome of a mixed bag for me. At its best, it's the best. At its worst, it's the worst.
Eloquently put it. So yeah, you could consider me a fan of the Sonic games, unanimously considered good. Which at that point makes me more of a fan of just good games in general.
Well, today let's take a look back at the very first Sonic the Hedgehog, and no, we're not playing the excellent Christian Whitehead port on mobile, which is outstanding, and they should totally let him remaster Sonic 3 and Knuckles and also bring the port to consoles and PC. We're not playing the version on GBA, which has numerous frame rate problems, screen crunch, and slowdown. Ew. No, we're playing the Genesis original, black box and all. Jesus!
Did you say Jesus or Jesus?
Lucky shot.
I hate re-releases like this. This, Player's Choice, Greatest Hits, Platinum Hits, they can all piss themselves in the... But just an eyesore. Why does Player's Choice have to be yellow? Why? Actually, we're playing the version on Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. Sorry for the cock tease. Let's finally dive into this. Sonic the Hedgehog for Sega Genesis. Sonic 1 is split up into 6 zones, with 3 acts each and one final zone, which is basically just a final boss battle. The third act in a zone is generally the most difficult and lengthy, while also including a boss fight with Dr. Robotnik / Eggman / I refuse to know anymore, who has taken all the woodland creatures and turned them into robots, which you obviously refuse to have any of. Now, Sonic controls well, pretty standard for a platformer to be honest, which is good, everything feels fine. You can only damage enemies in your ball form, which is most prominent while jumping, and Sonic of course can go much faster than your average mascot, which is the main selling point of the game. Why else would they name him Sonic instead of Smokey the Hedgehog? It's because this sucker can go fast if the level allows for it. There are springs and loop-de-loops set up all over the place to help you gain momentum, and gaining speed in Sonic is a nice reward after some tricky platforming, which is what Sonic primarily comprises of. Platforming. When you get down to it, Sonic is a pretty standard platformer with a few level design choices to help you go fast in certain instances. There isn't much in terms of power-ups in the game. You have a shield and invincibility, which do their job. Rings are your life bar. If you get hit with rings, you lose them all and have to nab them back to stay afloat. Get hit without rings and get that darn morgue ready. The overall idea of Sonic's game design, I like. I like the ring system. I like using speed as a reward after platforming.
Yeah, the rings are alright, as long as they ain't Superman 64 fucking rings.
It really feels lopsided sometimes.
Like, some zones, there's barely any speed at all, which makes certain acts drag. Alas, this issue was definitely addressed in later Sonic games, but overall, Sonic 1 feels much more like an everyday standard platformer than a Sonic game, at least in comparison to the later entries. The game of course starts off with Green Hill Zone, one of the most famous levels in all of gaming. And let me tell you, this is everything a fun Sonic level should be. There's loads of areas to gain speed, but just holding right isn't going to net you a win. You have to still do tons of platforming to succeed, and being skilled enough at the level allows you to either beat it in record time, get to areas hitting goodies with ease, or even both. The colors are so vibrant, the music is outstanding. Now this is a Sonic. Rest of the game reeks, or at least the next zone. Marble Zone is the reason why menopause will reign supreme by 2040, and I'll let you in on some insider information. That isn't good. I could do this big analytical take on why this level blows, but I don't have to. It's just bad. I don't think anybody likes this level. It's awful. Now, I don't believe all Sonic levels need to be fast all the time. Au contraire, if Sonic was always fast, that would make the speed section so much less satisfying. But this is just boring. This level is way too drawn out. The same things over and over again. Waiting on this block, going across the lava slowly, waiting for this spike chandelier platform to come down. It's just not fun. Marble Zone is not fun. I'd probably give it some slack if there were some sections to go fast, but no, it's just boring, long, and tedious. Spring Yard Zone is up next, and it's a competent Sonic level with loads of springs to gain momentum and roll all over the place. Labyrinth Zone is up next, and welcome back, negativity. It's been too long. This is just boring. The zone didn't really feel like much of a labyrinth. Like, the only part I remember being remotely maze-like was in Act 3, where a sequence was continually repeated until you went down the right path. And even then, there were only a few paths you could take, so no biggie. This zone really isn't known for being a maze. No, it's a water level. And man, I hate the underwater sections in Sonic 1.
Yeah,
major slowdown happens when you get hit by an enemy, and it's just annoying. And yeah, underwater sections blow in most games, but at least in other games you can swim by continually pressing jump. In Sonic, it's just a much slower version of the game where you die in like 4 seconds if you don't get to air. Starlight Zone is next, and it's a solid way to wash out the aftertaste of Labyrinth Zone. It's a relatively subdued level. It's actually a bit relaxing, a bit basic for a zone, but solid enough. Scrap Brain Zone is the final full zone in the game, and it definitely feels like it. Listen, I don't have much to say about this zone because it's all on Act 3. This is Labyrinth Zone's revenge. Remember when I said the original zone didn't feel like much of a maze? Don't worry, it was warming up for this sucker. This act blows. The majority of it's underwater, and there are just not enough air bubbles to keep you alive. The only way I could beat this act is the shortcut at the very beginning of the stage. Slipping underneath the platform brings you to a much quicker route. And then Final Zone. After being awarded Most Zone Name, the zone carries forth one of the easiest final bosses from this generation of games. The boss fights in this game are always relatively pretty easy and underwhelming. Except Starlight Zone's boss, I thought that one was really clever and fun. It used the seesaw mechanic used earlier in the zone, and I just like this one a lot. If you collect 50 rings and keep them till the end of either Acts 1 or 2 in each zone, you can hop into the big ring at the end for a chance to nab a Chaos Emerald in the special stages. Starting in Sonic 2, if you get 7 Chaos Emeralds, you gain the ability to transform into Super Sonic, a solid reward, but in Sonic 1, getting the only 6 Chaos Emeralds get you the best possible ending, which is barely any different from the bad one. It's weird because the back of the box clearly states, it's Super Sonic.
Super
I'm not a
speed.
fan of these special stages. It never really feels
Lost
like I'm in full
processing.
control. The stage rotates all around and you can only fully jump and move around on solid terrain. I can
God, it's
easily
like
get
the
the first
umbrella.
Chaos Emerald, but on this playthrough I
Oh,
gave up after
I
the
feel
second
sick.
attempt.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, man, I feel sick. Oh, that makes me feel sick.
No thank you. You know how I said the rest of the game reeks after Green Hill Zone? Let's evaluate that statement. Those 16 syllables make it seem as if I'm dogging all over Starlight Zone and Spring Yard Zone. No, those are okay stages. I don't think as highly of them because everything after Green Hill looks drab. Like, the first level hit you hard with color and saturation, and the rest of the game goes for this darker color palette and not as many detailed environments. And I don't know, I think a lot more color and variety in zone themes would have helped out tremendously. Specifically zone themes, like, what is this? But the soundtrack, I don't have to linger on this, it's amazing. It's one of the defining and best soundtracks of the 16-bit generation. It's fantastic. This game is hard, but a good handful of times, it's just unfair. How was I supposed to know this was a bottomless pit? How was I supposed to know this platform was immediately gonna fly away this fast? How did I die? It didn't even touch me! A lot of Sonic's gameplay is based around trial and error, which I think is kind of a lazy design choice. Instead of designing something in a way to alert players of what's to come if they want to do something a little racy, just let them die, they'll figure it out that way. That would be okay in some regards if the game had a save feature or at the very least had a password system, but you're supposed to beat Sonic all in one go if you want to be pure about it. You can enter a level select code at the title screen.
I've never
but,
been
well,
able
that's
to
not how
beat
you
this
the
game.
I think the game could have really benefited from a password feature. Games with saves were still in their infancy back then, so I can kind of understand the lack of a battery save option, but come on, a password would have been lovely. And that's the entirety of Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega Genesis. When you get down to it, the game is short. Now it does take around 2 hours or so on the first playthrough, however I have to say, with only 6 full zones and 3 levels each and 1 final boss fight, Sonic feels a bit light for a 16-bit game. Of course, the SNES hadn't come out yet, so this game was more so competing with 8-bit platformers. And when you take that into consideration, yeah, this game blew the majority of those things out of the water comparing them side by side. But I think it definitely comes up short in comparison to a lot of Nintendo's offerings on the SNES or even NES at the time, and of course later Sonic games. Like Sonic 2 improves on everything this game did. I feel like Sonic owes a good amount of his success to Green Hill Zone. I know people are getting sick of this level nowadays, but it is literally the perfect Sonic level. Good amounts of speed, good amounts of platform, just the right length. It does
the one I
everything
remember the
it's supposed
most.
to. If Green Hill Zone wasn't in the original Sonic game or wasn't the first level, I don't think he'd be as popular as he was. Sonic 1 is a decent romp that's fun to pop in from time to time, but it is nowhere near as fun or designed as well as later entries on the Genesis. It's really difficult to pinpoint my wholehearted opinion on the game. It isn't a bad game, but it definitely needs some time to think about what it's done. How about this? A great blueprint for the franchise. Not that great of a game though. If you want to start somewhere, I'd recommend Sonic 2. This game has way too many parts that are simply frustrating, boring, or not fun in comparison to later games. However, I still have a fondness for this game. Nowadays, Sonic is known for, look how fucking stupid he looks. But Sonic 1 deserves to be recognized as a landmark title in gaming history. Through all of its only 6 zones, easy boss fights, unfair challenges, enemy placement and design, stupid dumb and stupid special stages, I think I actually hate this game.
Yeah, this game actually reeks.
Well, Genesis does, but Nintendo don't.
Son of a bitch, I'm so lucky!
Alright, there we go. Okay, that's the end of the video. That was Sonic the Hedgehog from 1991. Birth of a Laughing Stock, Scott the Was. Of course, Scott the Was more of that. But, I mean, from what I remember, Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Genesis was pretty good. I enjoyed it, but I never was able to complete the game because I found the game really difficult. I remember the like, water level stages and stuff like that. I used to die over and over. I just couldn't get past that stage. But yeah, as for the game itself, I found it really fun, interesting. Would it hold up today in 2020? I don't really think so. Maybe if it was remastered, had a HD collection. I think there is, of course there is. I don't know. I think I think Sonic the Hedgehog is sort of like a dying sort of franchise now. If a new Sonic game was released today in 2020, I don't really think I could get excited. I don't think I'm gonna go, yeah, I really want to be eager to buy the new Sonic the Hedgehog game. Yeah, unfortunately not. You know, for me, would I buy a Sonic the Hedgehog game if it was released in 2020? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. That's the thing. It's sort of a bit Sonic sort of died out for me a bit. You know, it's got to be something groundbreaking. It's got to be something really game-breaking, groundbreaking, something that's going to fundamentally change the Sonic franchise. Um, you know, there are Sonic driving games and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I just want a new Sonic game that's totally amazing. Something amazing. The graphics are just beautiful. Something not like the Sonic '06 for the Xbox 360. Not that, God no. That was absolutely atrocious. But yeah, if there would be a Sonic the Hedgehog game today in 2020, it's got to be pretty fucking good. It's got to be good to sell. Because I don't think I could keep buying like Sonic the Hedgehog games out of nostalgia. Yeah, it's got to be pretty good. But yeah, if you like this video, make sure to give a like, comment down below, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.